Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Futbol Fetish podcast. Today is June 18th. We are kicking off episode 2 with a little Arsenal versus Man City recap. We got scraped 3-0. David Luiz is an absolute train wreck, and more. Going into the game, I was surprisingly optimistic despite the fact that we were starting Eddie Nketiah, Joe Willock, and Saka, who are all really youngsters. And for much of the first half, I remained my optimism. I think we got outplayed, but we definitely created some chances, and Leno looked unbeatable. After David Luiz, in typical David Luiz fashion, botched a clearance and gave them a 1-0 lead right before halftime, though you could just tell it was going to go south quick. And to no one's surprise, 50 minutes in, David Luiz pulls down Riyad Mahrez in the box, gets a red card, gives them a penalty, 2-0 down, game's over. In all fairness to Mustafi lately, he has been pretty good for the latter half of this season, but playing with him and Luiz as a center back pairing is basically like starting the game a goal down. They are so error prone, it's unbelievable. And both of them are very good players. They have a lot of good qualities, but they just lose concentration. You'd expect a player of Luiz's experience to be able to come in and do a job even as a substitute, but to be somewhat sympathetic, it was the first game back after a 3-month layout. He was playing against Man City, who has a disgusting wealth of attacking talent, and he was coming on as a substitute 20 minutes into a game, probably not expecting to be ready to go. Now, I'll get to more negatives, but quickly I'd like to give props to two of our players that I thought were phenomenal. Kieran Tierney showed a lot of the determination and work ethic that we heard all about over the summer. Everyone at the club has been raving about his athleticism and his professionalism, and it was great to see that come through on the field. And, of course, Bernd Leno gets props. He made 9 saves, some of which were unbelievable. He has to be one of, if not the best shot stoppers in the world. Props to him. He kept us in that game, even at a glance. I don't like to harp on manager team selection too often because we're not in training. We're not seeing everything that they are seeing, but a few things did kind of rub me the wrong way. Saka playing as an inverted winger out on the right flank doesn't make a lot of sense to me because it takes away his best attribute, which is his left-footed cross. Eddie Nketiah is clearly a talented youngster, but how he's getting the starting minutes over Alexander Lacazette makes little to no sense to me given their track records. Nicolas Pepe was in incredible form leading up to the shutdown, seemingly really finding his feet at Arsenal and in England, and considering he was such a big money signing, it really doesn't make sense to me that he's not playing as much as possible. Now back to more of the negatives, and oh boy, are there a lot. Our midfield looked like Swiss cheese defensively. We kept on giving up counterattack after counterattack, and it just seemed like nobody had any interest or capabilities of stopping it. We tend to do a lot better in this regard when Lucas Torreira is playing, but when it's Xhaka, Ceballos, or Guendouzi, it really does look like a bunch of headless chickens running around. Especially Guendouzi. The kid has so much hair, so much energy, so much technical ability, but tactically he just doesn't seem to know where to put himself. I'm hoping that a full offseason with Arteta will help the lad improve in this regard, but until then it's going to be hard to set up a team with proper defensive organization that involves him. Xhaka going down injured is another big negative for our midfield. I definitely have my criticisms of the guy, but he is by far our best midfielder when it comes to distribution, winning the ball back, organizing the team. Ceballos did a decent job coming in for him as a substitute, but you can tell he doesn't have that same Premier League experience. Another big negative is the fact that we didn't record a single shot on target. Not one. Surprisingly, the statistics have shown that we've actually taken a step back attacking-wise since Arteta took over, which doesn't really bother me as long as we're still winning games, accumulating points, getting draws, but it is concerning when we can't get a single shot on goal against a team that has been somewhat suspect defensively this year. I'm hoping that we can put the win back in our sails against Brighton, but I feel like this result really did kill a lot of positive momentum that we had going forward for us. The fan base was seemingly really behind the manager and the squad for the first time in a long time, and a positive result or even a near loss where we played a good game could have done a lot for the morale around the club. I fear that such an embarrassing loss can really derail a lot of the progress that's been made and open up some old wounds that had been patched over. Overall, I don't want to get too negative. We were playing Man City, the reigning champions, at their own stadium that they're used to being empty. We had 2 injuries in the first 20 minutes, which is always going to make things difficult. And Anthony Taylor was seemingly okay with the Man City players performing horse collar tackles on us. We didn't deserve to win that game, and that's not the case I'm trying to make, but he was so obviously biased that it was really, really frustrating to watch. Champions League qualification was always going to be an uphill battle at this point in the season, the way things have been going, but a win against City would have really helped and brought optimism to a club and a fan base and a group of people that just really needed it. In other news, the Sheffield-Aston Villa game was a bit boring aside from a botched VAR call. The company that provides the Premier League with goal line technology, Hawkeye, had to issue an apology. And Sheffield manager Chris Hughton went on to say, "I think the goalkeeper was in the whole end when he caught it," which is absolutely hilarious. Not only is the bloke a hell of a manager, he also seems to have a great sense of humor. Anyways, Arsenal got beat by City. VAR is causing controversy. What else is new? If you like today's show, please like, subscribe, comment down below. It is greatly appreciated. Mahalo. Thank you so much for listening. God bless.